Hi, welcome to Let's Do Some Algebra. So today, let's solve multi-step equations with decimals. We'll start out with little ones, and then we'll get bigger, more complicated ones, but you'll be able to handle it. Let's start out with the simple one. If you have 0.2 times x equals 4, to undo multiplication, you divide. Well, okay, we can divide by a decimal. It's not that bad, but here's another way you can do it. Multiply by 10 on the top and on the bottom, because you're going to get 4 times 10, which is 40. 0.2 times 10, when you multiply by 10, you just get to move the decimal place 1. Now those numbers look really easy. 40 divided by 2 is 20. 0.2 times 20 would be 4. And that is correct. Let's do another one. What if you had 0.3 times x plus 7 equals, let's see, 13? Well, we have to undo the adding 7. Subtract 7 on this side, subtract 7 on this side. So you get 0.3x equals 13 minus 7, which is 6. Now we divide to undo the multiplying of a decimal. Divide by 0.3. So again, let's make our life easier. Multiply by 10 on the top and multiply by 10 on the bottom. As long as you're multiplying by the same number on top and bottom, you're not ruining your fraction. You're just changing it to an easier to work with number. That's good. 6 times 10 is 60. 0.3 times 10, when you multiply by 10, you can move your decimal. Now, we just converted it to a lot nicer problem, a lot easier on our brain to understand it. X equals 60 divided by 3, so x equals 20. Okay, and that was where we had a decimal times x plus a number equals a number. Let's go a little harder. Let's go with 2 decimals. Same number, same x number, but we'll have different parts of it. If you have 0.3 times x plus 0.2 times x, and that equals 5, 0.3 plus 0.2 would be 0.5, x equals 5. Divide to undo this multiplication. Get x equals, but we want to make that fraction a little easier on our brain. So multiply by 10 on the top and bottom. We only need to move the decimal one place. 5 times 10 will be 50 as our new numerator. 0.5 times 10 will be 5. We just made it a whole lot easier on our brain. 50 divided by 5 will give you 10. X equals 10. And 0.3 times 10 would be 3. 0.2 times 10 would be 2. 3 plus 2 does make 5. Okay, let's go again. If you had 0.75 times x plus 0.5 times x, and you got 15, now we have decimals. This one has 2 places behind the decimal point. This one has only 1. Well, we can think of this as a 0.50. 75 cents plus 50 cents would be $1.25 equals the 15. We didn't do anything to ruin this number. We just made it easier on our brain to understand it. 0.75 plus 0.50 is easy because it's like money. Okay, then we divide by 1.25, divide by 1.25. These becomes 1, so we get x equals. Now, there's 2 places in the decimal. The decimal point for the denominator has 2 places behind the decimal point. So we're going to multiply by 100. That will get the decimal moved over 2 places. It also moves it over 2 places on top. So we get 125. X equals, that's not too bad. First thing we can do is think in terms of quarters. Okay, this is like a $1.25, 125 cents. $1.25 would be how many quarters? It would be 5. We're going to divide by 25 on the top and on the bottom. When we divide by 25, we get 5. When you divide by 25, okay, think of this as $15. How many quarters does it take to make a dollar? 4. So this would be 15 sets of 4. 15 times 4 is 60. Okay, and then we have a nice, easy problem. 60 divided by 5, which is 12. So our number became 12. We had 2 different kinds of decimals. We added them up. Then we divided by that decimal. Then we multiplied by 100 because it needed to move the decimal point 2 places. We moved it 2 places on top too, and then we just started handling the fraction. Divide by 25 on top and bottom, and then go ahead and simplify our fraction. Let's do another one. Same problem, but handle it in another way. Equals 80. Okay, if we have 0.25, that's like 1/4. And if you have 0.15, that's 3/20. You knew that, right? 3/20. Okay, now we have to have common denominators because we just converted this decimal problem into fractions. Sometimes people like dealing with fractions better than decimals. We just need to convert this one to be 20ths. This one's already ready. So to make this denominator be 20, we need to multiply by 5. Multiply the numerator by 5 and you get 5. 5/20 plus 3/20 would be 8/20 times the x equals 80. Now we just multiply by the fraction flipped. That's called multiplying by the reciprocal. 20 over 20 reduces to 1. 8 over 8 simplifies to 1. Then we can give this a denominator. 8 goes in here once. 8 goes in there 10 times. 10 times 20 is 200. We get the same answer as last time, and we should, because it's the same problem. But it was just a way to convert it into fractions, in case that's an easier method for you. If you feel more comfortable converting them to fractions, great. If you had 0.25x plus 0.375x, and your answer became 25. Okay, so now we can make these two look like they have the same number of digits. So we can make this be a 250. That way it has 3 digits, just like this one. I'm going to make this be right over top. Okay, 5 and 0, 5 and 7 with a carry, so you get 0.625 times the x equals 25. Okay, we converted this into a decimal with 3 digits and then added the digits. Okay, then we have to divide by a decimal, and we can, but it's easier to multiply to get rid of the decimals. Change it into something that's more comfortable to look at. We have to move this 3 places, so we have to multiply by 1,000. And we multiply by 1,000. So you get x equals 25 times 1,000 is 25,000. And then 0.625 times 1,000 simply means you moved it 3 places, 625. That isn't real easy for our brains, but it's not too bad. If you think of how many quarters it would take to make $6, it takes 4 quarters to make $1, so to make $6, it would take 24 plus this one. So if we divide by 25 on top and divide by 25 on the bottom, 625 divided by 25 would be 25. So we have 25 will go into 104 times. So it goes into every 100 4 times. We have 250 hundreds. So we have 1,000. Whew. Okay, now 25 will go into itself once. 25 goes into 100 4 times, and then you put that 0 back on. Okay, so 40 over 1, so x equals 40. Let's do the same problem, but I'm going to show you a nicer way to handle it. Easier yet. And you have this situation where you have 2 digits plus a 3 digit. You make this one have a 3rd digit, so we're still going to start out with those two adding up. 0 and 5 makes 5, 5 and 7 makes 2, 12 with the carry here, so you get this. Okay, then you can multiply everything to get rid of the decimal. If we multiply by 1, 2, 3, we have to multiply it by 1,000. You get 625, because you just moved it 3 places, equals, and 25 times 1,000 is 25,000. Then we'll handle it the same way as we did the other problem. Okay, 25 goes into there 25 times. 25 goes into 100 4 times, and there are 250 of those hundreds. So there's 250 times 4, which is 1,000. 25 goes into 100 4 times, then you put that 0 back on. So you get x equals 40. Let's do another one, but let's make it even another method of doing it. Let's convert them to fractions. Okay, won't need this, and we'll quit using decimals. 0.25 is like 1/4, so this becomes 1/4 x. 0.375 as a decimal is the decimal for 3/8 equals 25. Now we need a common denominator, so this has to become 2/8 plus the 3/8 equals 25. 2/8 plus 3/8 would be 5/8. This looks nice and easy, doesn't it? Okay, now we multiply by that fraction, flip, that's called the reciprocal. And 8 over 5. These reduce to 1, those reduce to 1. You get x equals, 5 goes in here once, 5 goes in there 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. That was your easiest way yet, wasn't it? Okay. I have lots of ways that you can practice your math abilities and your algebra. I have a math website called monumentalmath.com. I'd like you to go ahead and give it a try. It's free and available. It'll help you with lots of math topics and algebra topics and geometry topics, lots of them. It'll give you examples, and then it'll give you lots of practice. I hope you go to monumentalmath.com. Give it a try. Good luck and enjoy the challenge.